Royal commentator Duncan Larcombe questioned why Prince Harry was choosing to come out with a memoir book. While speaking on GB News with Mark Dolan, Mr. Larcombe warned this could spoil Prince Harry's place in the royal family. He also questioned why the Duke always appeared to look so sad, despite getting what he wanted in a new life. Mr. Dolan questioned why Prince Harry was coming out to attack the royal family now. He said, "Who do we blame for this? You are going to speculate about whether there is influence from his wife. You have profiled Prince Harry in your book in huge detail. What has happened to the guy? Has he changed? Do you recognize this individual? This man who seems so angry, not just with his family but with his country?" Mr. Larcombe answered, "No, I don't recognize him, and I don't think members of his family. Certainly his old friends don't recognize him either. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. We knew Harry, we loved Harry because he wore his heart on his sleeve, he was down to earth and he didn't take himself too seriously. Well, things have changed and maybe that is the influence of a new wife, or maybe it is Harry just having the freedom to be himself. What I can tell you is, for a guy who has gone to find a new world away from the unbearable binds of the royal family, I just wish he would tell his face. He just seems so depressed, Mark." Mr. Larcombe also considered what possible motives Prince Harry could have for this memoir book. He said, "If this is part of some master plan to find happiness, I am not sure he is going to find that. If this is a master plan to build their royal brand, I think this book is going to be the longest resignation letter in history. As it will mean Prince Harry's place within the royal family will disappear forever." Royal expert Robert Jobson insisted much of the public is growing tired of Prince Harry's whinging. While speaking on LBC, Mr. Jobson added that this was not helped by the fact that the Duke has had a very privileged upbringing. He also accused the Duke of being two-faced for saying he wanted more privacy to only publicly attack the royal family. Mr. Jobson said, "A lot of people are getting tired of Prince Harry's whinging. He does seem to be doing it a lot. He had a very privileged upbringing. He has traveled the world at the taxpayers' expense, but he doesn't seem to be very happy. To have a private life is one thing, but to continually attack your family and the institution of the monarchy from a position of privilege is a little two-faced." The royal expert also reflected on how the royal family would be reacting to the Duke's 4-book deal. He said, "It is difficult to say, but I would think they would be slightly alarmed by it. It is all well and good, people writing books, but when you are a high-profile figure like him. And Meghan and Harry have had books they have cooperated with, like Finding Freedom. The reality is that this is going to be his memoir. You have to own your memoir, whatever is said. I should imagine this is going to lead to even more difficulty. There are supposed to be these rifts that are going on in the royal family, particularly with William. But I can't see any of these book deals healing those rifts anytime soon." Prince Harry shocked the world as he announced that he would be writing a memoir book about his life and the journeys he has been on. Royal commentators have largely criticized the Duke for the decision and warned it would be similar to the shocking interviews both Meghan and Harry have done since stepping down from the royal family. The Duke is expected to produce 4 books, with rumors speculating some would only be released after the death of the Queen. However, a spokesperson for Prince Harry has rebuked these claims and insisted he has no plans to do this. The national anthem can sound like an uninspiring dirge if played badly, but the words are spot on. "Happy and glorious" is 100% accurate about the Queen. In nearly 60 years of writing and filming stories about Her Majesty, I have never seen her so happy in content. With as many smiles as she has miles on the clock at the age of 95. "Long to reign over us" is also bang on the money. As the 70th anniversary of her accession to the throne approaches, her reign has broken every record. And the Queen is now the only world leader to have served in uniform during the Second World War. Sent her victorious, indeed. There is only one blot on the royal horizon. And it is worrying for the woman who is not only monarch and head of the Commonwealth, but a grandmother and great-grandmother. It's the trouble with Harry, a man who has worn his country's uniform with distinction, but now seems to have declared his own personal war on the institutions that nurtured him, molded him and presented him with a life of unimaginable privilege on a platter of gold. What's really eating the Queen's 4th grandchild and 6th in line of succession to her throne? The American ghostwriter J.R. Moringer, who is writing the Prince's memoirs to be published next year, coinciding with the 25th anniversary of his mother's death, is a student of Freud and Jung, the Chuckle brothers of Central European psychology. And so he is well qualified to explain why a free spirit who had it all has turned into an angry middle-aged man. That is not a good look for a father of 2 young children who should be hugging himself with joy at having it all. A glamorous wife, fame, fortune, fatherhood, capped with the title, His Royal Highness. As it is, he lives behind the gates of a £11 million mansion in Santa Barbara, with the choice of 9 lavatories to sit on while contemplating how life has been so terrible to him. And then putting it all down in a book that's bound to be a bestseller on both sides of the Atlantic. It will not be the first score-settling book by a royal duke. The Duke of Windsor had 2 American writers from Life magazine to ghost his 1951 autobiography A King's Story. But that book tiptoed around the family feud ignited by his abdication in 1936. There was no raw bitterness in the text. The Duke reserved his hate-filled comments about his smug, stinking relations and cruel insults about his sister-in-law, later the Queen Mother, for his private letters to Mrs. Wallis Simpson. That Duke waited 15 years to write his book. Prince Harry seems determined to get his revenge in first, including his wrath at the postponement of an HRH for his son Archie. Until and if Archie's grandfather Prince Charles ascends the throne. That will be just one of the charges laid at the door of Buckingham Palace by Harry in a book for which an advance of $20 million, pound 14.5 m, has reportedly been paid. For that price, the publisher Penguin Random House will expect sensation and scandal. Prince Harry's publishers say the proceeds from his book will go to charity. But whether that is before or after all the expenses have been deducted is not clear. It helps that the Queen has seen it all before. And worse. When she was only 10, the abdication recast her destiny as the future Queen. A book by her grandson, even if it is no holds barred, will be a blip compared to 1936. A week of uncomfortable headlines will not detract from the general celebration that will accompany the Platinum Jubilee next year. Ordinary British people will put it all down to Meghan. They've grown weary of what many perceive as the undignified whining of a man living under petticoat government, ready to fire bullets crafted by a wife made vengeful by the disdain with which she considers she was treated by her husband's family. Fortunately for the Queen and for us, her subjects, she was not burdened with an overactive imagination that sees danger in every shadow. As a committed Christian, she believes in redemption and the power of good. Now her husband has been laid to rest relieved of illness and fading powers, the Queen is free of many personal worries. Could she talk sense into Prince Harry? She would certainly listen. Harry is not quite ready to sever the ties that bind him to his royal family. Why else would he and Meghan ask if their daughter Lilibet could be christened in St. George Chapel, Windsor? The Queen will not listen to voices telling her to uninvite Prince Harry and Meghan to the Jubilee celebrations. She believes in reconciliation. After all, she achieved it with her uncle, the Duke of Windsor, shortly before he died in 1972, leaving both of them smiling and the crown stronger.